master's in physical therapy, and I'm a physician by practice. I've done some interesting things in my life. Just briefly, I grew up right up the river in Ossining. I graduated Ossining High School in 1989. I was the furthest away from an athlete. I was not good enough, I was not fast enough, strong enough for anything. So music was my thing growing up. So I was not a sports person. So I say this to you in that the genetically gifted argument goes out the window. I'm going to speak to you today from a place of taking control of your own life, making decisions that will directly affect your outcomes. And I can't express that enough. I'm giving 3 lectures, and I keep saying lectures, they're not lectures. I'm giving 3 talks today. This one, hopefully, is the one that is currently scheduled at 10 o'clock. Just making sure I have the numbers right. Nearer than further. The title of this is sentimental to me. This is a saying my grandmother, who grew up in the Bronx, used to always say, is that it's nearer than further. It's nearer than further. You know, you're almost there, whatever it is. I'm in the process of putting a book together, and this will be the title of my book. And it's going to be called Nearer Than Further, Life Lessons from an Unlikely Ironman. And I'm going to speak to you in other lectures as to why I'm an unlikely Ironman and how I got there. So I'm giving 3 talks today, and of the 3, 2 of them are specifically devoted to giving tips, tricks, advice, things that I learned the hard way of doing and not doing, and so forth. A different talk that I have, which I'm also giving today, called Journey to the Starting Line, is about how I did it, how I got there, and how I accomplished that. So, with no further ado, I'll get started. This is the first talk, and so just to make sure, the description I gave, so I wanted to make sure everyone knew what they were signing up for. This is how to incorporate exercise into your life today, not tomorrow. Basic but crucial exercise physiology facts. Yes, I will get a little bit granular on you, and I will use the I'll go old school and use the on a race board and just write a couple of things that I think are real important that everybody knows. Facts that can change your life regarding this. Everything you ever want to know about triathlons from a non-elite athlete perspective. Again, I am not fast. I do not win any races. I finish every race I start. I finish slow, but I finish. And that's kind of the basis of my talks and my presentation for you folks today, is how to get you guys to a place. Some of you are already there. If you're stuck in various aspects of your life, how to get unstuck maybe, and get to that place you want to be. What else did I say? Intro to various gear, which I can talk for 4 days about, so I'm going to try not to get too distracted with that. I will give you kind of basics overviews about triathlons in general, and then totally open for questions in the end. I'll give you contact information in the end. Please don't write anything down. There's no need for that. You can either take a picture of the write on a race board when I'm done, or I have contact information, and you can get the information from me after that. So I hope you just kind of all sit back and enjoy. Fair enough? Fair enough. Everyone had their coffee? Fair enough. Okay. So I figured I would start. With a video.
To accomplish something extraordinary, one must have an extraordinary dream. A goal so high, a journey so demanding, that its achievement to most seems impossible. For 35 years, Ironman has defined a sport, growing from a single race into a global movement and a new generation of athletes. In 25 countries with over 200 events, Ironman inspires us to reimagine our limits, to set our sights higher, to go farther than we ever have before. You can run the mile, you can walk straight through hell with a smile. You can be a hero, you can get the gold. Breaking all the records so they'll never be broken. Do it for your people, do it for your pride. You're never gonna know if you never even try. Do it for your country, do it for your name. There's gonna be a day. Ironman is a statement of excellence. physical toughness and mental strength. Iron Man is about persevering, enduring, and being a part of something larger than ourselves. It shows the heights that can be achieved when we push beyond our boundaries and go the distance to earn the title Iron Man.
So, what did we see there? We saw a lot of things. What we saw, though, in my mind, are ordinary people doing extraordinary things because they decided to. You saw people there, you saw single amputees, you saw double amputees. I'm going to speak about that in another lecture as well. What you saw in that video are patients who were in remission from colon cancer, who towed the starting line, sexual abuse victims who towed the starting line, people who've lost children, the Boston tragedy, towing the starting line. That video is one way of encompassing what Ironman means to me, which was a complete lifestyle change and a way to become something I just never even knew existed, let alone dreamed was possible. I say these things to you, and I'm kind of listening to the words as they're coming out of my mouth, because again, like I said, I grew up the river here, and I mean, I remember in 1989, they actually showed a clip of the Iron War between Dave Scott and Mark Allen on there from the Ironman in 1989. I mean, everyone kind of heard of Ironman, and it was on NBC every year, and people just sort of watched it, and no one really knew what it was. I didn't know what it was. I used to smoke. I smoked a pack a day for about 10 years. So I've been through a lot of different areas in my life, which got me to the starting line, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. I do have a habit of digressing, and so I'm going to kind of stick to my notes a little bit just to make sure I keep on track in the amount of time. This lecture specifically is going to be nuts and bolts stuff for you guys. It's going to be for anybody. It's going to be sort of tips and tricks, how I do it, the way I think, the way some athletes think. Again, I'm one person, but that's what this talk is going to be about. And so the first thing in fitness that everybody wants to know about, talk about, spend literally multiple billions of dollars every year is weight loss, right? Everybody is concerned as we age about our body habits, not just about the way we look, but also about the way we feel, about the way our clothes fit, concerns for health, for our own personal reasons, as well as for our children, our loved ones. You can't turn on, I don't watch TV very much at all, unless it's the Giants, but you can't really turn on TV nowadays and not see some sort of weight loss ad, fitness product, 8-minute abs, you know, which like from the movie beats 7, you know, it's better than 7 or better than 9-minute abs, and the next one, you know, everybody kind of wants the quick fix, the diet soda that I'm drinking right now. I mean everything. Literally, we're bombarded by it. We don't even realize it. What I really want to kind of hammer home to people is fitness, specifically body mass, body composition, is about one thing, and you guys are all experts at it by being teachers: math. It's math. Your body is the ultimate banker and the ultimate accountant. Okay? It will keep track of things that your mind chooses not to at times. If you think about it, think about how those reality checks happen for us every day and at different times. You know, it's very easy, and I'm going to show you some slides later. It's very easy to kind of be in denial about this fact and just never step on a scale, you know, and then you do. It's very easy sometimes you think you're looking and maybe even feeling great, and then right when you least expect it, usually right when you're least mentally capable of handling it at the time, reality checks us, and those are a little bit tighter. We get a glimpse of ourselves in the mirror. May or may not like what we see. We may just be in a bad place. We have a lot of stress. I don't need to tell you guys about stress. It's why we're here today, is because of stress, basically, right? I mean, I know that your days do not start when the children get off of the bus and end when the children get on the bus, okay? I know this. We are constantly bombarded by stress, whether it's work, whether it's our own personal health, our own emotional issues, relationships with significant others, with our children, with our family, as they age, as we age. Every day, we are in such an exorbitant amount of stress, we tend to put everybody else first. Our kids, our students, our jobs. We forget about number one. I say number one not in a selfish way, but in a self-preserving way, okay? The one thing I want to say, and I won't use this as a soapbox, but the one thing I want to say as a physician, I don't practice currently. When I did, I was an interventional radiologist, so I stabbed people in the groin all day and did catheterizations on clogged arteries all day long. It was fun, don't get me wrong. But the reason why I was there, I learned to resent. And as a physician, I mean, I spent half my life devoted and literally sacrificing 80, 90 hours a week training for the privilege of taking care of people who chose not to take care of themselves. I found that I was in a tough spot with that. I still am. I have some opinions that I want to editorialize about modern day medicine. The bottom line of all of it is we each have to own our stuff. We have to be responsibility for everything. And as a physician, and anybody, I mean, you don't need me or my medical degree or your degrees to sit here and have me tell you, watch your diet and exercise, and that's the key to wellness. We all know that. Is it really that simple? It actually is. I'm not going to lecture anybody today on the hormonal effects of leptin and satiety and you know, human hunger and diet techniques. And what I am going to try and help people do today is get out of our own way. Okay. Again, going back to the medicine analogy, cardiovascular disease at an all-time high. It's killing people every day. Hypertension, diabetes, COPD from smoking, heart attacks, strokes, all day long. Kept people like me in business. But the point is, so much disease, not all of it, certain types of cancers, yes, but so much advanced disease is because of the choices we make as human beings. Nobody makes these choices for us past the age of 2 on what to feed us, really. We really have to own the responsibility. I want to talk a little bit more about this in detail. So, okay, let's get to the actual, the crucial math part here that I want to talk to you guys about. All right, and this is actually the only part today where I'm actually going to be giving any formulas or data or anything. But this is important stuff. I'm going to go over here. Okay, so body weight. As you guys already know, the unit of energy, of heat energy, is the calorie, kilocalorie. It's the energy in what we expend, it's the energy in what we eat. Everybody knows when you look at a food label that there's a certain amount of calories. What people tend to forget is not just to watch it, but what it actually means and why, okay? So I really try to simplify things. You know, there's a 50-year field of exercise physiology, and I'm gonna boil it down to 4 half-index cards, because this is the important stuff that I have used in the past successfully, that I think is important for you guys to know, okay? So, is that too small? Can people see this? Daily maintenance, as in the calories you need just to exist every day. There's 2 things that we're going to talk about. I apologize if this offends anyone in its simplicity, but the fact is, it's true, and it works. Activity factor. Okay. There are complex formulas for both of these things, which you can certainly look up online. Okay. What I will say, I'll talk about BMR first. So this is how much do we need just to exist? Because if you think about it, if we take in more than that, it's going to get stored as fat. If we take in less than that or make a deficit less than that, that's when we're going to lose weight. It really is that simple. It's math. It's ins and outs. However you want to call it, a bank account or being an accountant or whatever. So I want to talk about these two things because, again, complex formulas. BMR stands for basal metabolic rate. This is how many calories your body needs at rest, given, look at all the variables here, your weight, your height, your age, and sex. Gender, not how much, gender. Although arguably that can certainly increase the calories you burn. But it's based on those four things, okay? There are formulas for this. All right, I'm just going to use one as an example here. I have one for men and one for women. I'll put them up here and write them as I'm talking if you guys want, but just so you can see basically what this comes down to. So for men, and like I said, this is as granular as this is going to get. This is easily available online. If you just Google BMR. I'm writing it up here only to give you the idea that it's not a magic number and I'm not making it up. All right, so this is basal metabolic rate for men. It's 66 plus this quantity, 6.23 times your weight in pounds. Okay, so for me, 205 pounds times, plus. Yes, I can write plus. 12.7 times your height in inches, okay? So for me, this is arguably 71 inches on a good day. Minus 6.8 times your age in years, 42, okay? So if I do the math for this, for me, this gives me a number. My number comes out to be, for me, 1959. Nice number, okay? So that's my BMR, but we're not done. This is the key thing, the activity factor, because now we multiply this by this activity factor. It is very simple. The activity factor, on card number 3, the activity factor ranges from 1.2 all the way down to 1.9. So you almost double this based on activity, right? So sedentary, as in does not exercise. The only exercise is getting up from the couch to get more potato chips. Sedentary, you multiply it by 1.2. So it would still give you a little more than that, okay? This is if you exercise about 1 to 3 days per week. 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and extreme. Extreme also can include if you have a very physically demanding job, or hobbies, or etc. Arguably, triathlon could fall into there. The point is, you multiply this by where you're at, where you are right now. Okay. So for me, what did I give myself? I gave myself here. Okay. Currently, I'm exercising maybe 3 to 5 days a week, so I multiplied it by this one, and that gave me my total number. My total number came to, if I did my math right, 3,036 calories or kilocalories per day, okay? Big deal. Who cares? This is where you care. Because every single day, your body needs these amount of calories to keep its current substance. Now we're going to get into the very simple facts. If you create a deficit, now I don't say take in less because you can't just starve yourself. So you have to take in less calories. You also need to create a deficit by somehow, working, and that's where the activity factor does come in here. But basically, it actually works out to very simple round numbers, okay? The only other piece of math you need to know, there's only one, and this is the important, well, there's two. So this is kind of output, right? This is energy spent. Let's talk about the stuff we take in, okay? Every single thing you put in your mouth, with the exception of water, let's talk about 1 gram, okay? In 1 gram of carbs, anybody know how many calories? 4. It's very interesting because everybody in this room, it brings up a point that I think about often. Everybody in this room knows what octane gas we put in our car, right? What are you, 87, 89? Sometimes it's, everybody knows. But it's funny how the stuff that we kind of need to know to maintain our own existence, it didn't come with the instruction manual. So, gram of carbs, 4. Gram of protein, anyone know? It's also 4 calories. This is calories now. Now, this is the $100 point right here. Anyone know what a gram of fat has? Remember Ferris Bueller? 9 kilocalories, a gram of fat. So this is what we eat. Look around, whatever's on your desk. Thing of yogurt, thing of whatever. Every single label on the planet has this. Grams, calories. People tend to kind of look at the total calories. Okay, fine. But here's the thing. All day long, we're putting stuff in our mouth. These add up. Boom, 4 grams here, boom, 4 grams here, boom, 9 grams, 9 calories, 9 calories, 4, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Your body's the ultimate accountant, right? Remember, this is how many you need to exist. If we're not paying attention, this easily surpasses this. Easily. Depending on our food choices, okay? This is the part that I want to tell you, which is the most important, because this is what works, all right? So just take all this math and kind of put it in the back of your head for a second, because here's the part that actually works, and I'm going to prove it to you because I have data to prove it from my own experience. When you create a daily, okay, last piece of math. To lose 1 pound of fat, anybody know how many calories you have to burn? All right. I learned this 20 years ago in graduate school. It still holds. Despite all of the stuff that you read on the internet, all of the, we could talk about the latest pomegranate and peanut butter cup diet as much as you'd like, but it really does come down to this. To burn a pound of fat, 3,500 calories, okay? This is why I'm going to prove to you why. Not only do they say that a rate of weight loss of 1 to 2 weeks is about as the safest possible, it really is all that's possible. I'm going to show you why. Anything faster than that, it's a delusion, okay? Now, notice I didn't say, I'm not doubting your scale. There are people who go on crazy diets. They lose 5 pounds in a week, they lose 7 pounds the next day. They also might have started at 300 or 400 pounds and so forth. There's a lot of exceptions to the rules. I'm not saying that they're lying, and I'm not saying that their scales are lying. What I'm saying is real fat-burning weight loss can only safely happen 1 to 2 pounds per week. I'm going to show you why in a minute. Anything in addition to that the scale is reporting, it's fluid. It's fluid shifts, it's diuresis, it's catabolic it's lysis of your muscle protein, it's diuresis, it's fluid shifts. Trust me, you see it on the scale and you think you're doing okay. Real weight loss occurs 1 to 2 pounds per week. It is slow, it is not gratifying. It is downright frustrating because you really don't see it now. You don't see it next week. You don't see it next month sometimes. 10 to 12 weeks before you actually, I'm going to show you the data, you get on the scale and you actually see what I'm talking about. But right? People have kind of been on yo-yos, and including myself, the whole life. Your clothes fit better, you're feeling better, and yeah, you get on the scale. The scale in and of itself does not, and I'm not trying to tell you that the scale tells you everything, because there's stuff that I haven't even built into here. This goes back to 1919. This is the Harris-Benedict equation, but that doesn't even take into account lean muscle mass and the fact that we all burn calories at a different rate just standing still based on our actual composition. I'm just trying to simplify this, but here, if you ignore everything I just told you, except this, and this is where the money is. I'm going to show you why, because it really becomes this easy. There's 7 days in a week, right? 3,500. If you want to lose 1 pound of fat in a week, that means you have to create some sort of caloric deficit, 3,500 calories in a week. Magically, this is easily divisible. Right? So 500 calories a day. Okay? If you create a 500 calorie deficit a day, from now until the next time I see you, maybe next year, mark my words, you will be in an entirely different place in your life than you are right now. How do you do that? That part is easy. We talked about it being easy. It's diet and exercise, right? It's a combination of, okay, this regular Coke has 220 calories of pure sugar. I usually drink this regular Coke, and that's why so I can cut out this Coke, which is 220 calories, and the other 280 calories today, I can go for a walk. I can do something. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
The problem is, so you could cut down on the foods and the fats and all that, but then you need a certain amount to be able to exercise. And
right, which is why you can't starve yourself, right? So it's not a matter of just stopping eating and saying, well, I'm just going to stop my caloric intake altogether and I'll lose the weight. As you said, it's not that simple. You do need the energy to exercise, and there's a balance. That's another reason why this was only for 1 pound of fat, okay? For those people who are telling you, I lost 5 pounds a week doing this or whatever, to lose 2 pounds of fat, you need to double this. The math doesn't change. And so to lose, it's hard to lose 2 pounds of fat in a week. Even if you're exercising up here, that's a 7,000 calorie a week deficit you have to create from what your body has just been doing all along naturally, just to lose that 1 to 2 pounds of fat. It becomes more and more difficult as you aim more ridiculously higher. And that's my point, is that to aim for 1 to 2 pounds a week of fat loss is completely appropriate, it's safe, and it's effective, and it works. I want to move on because I have some other stuff that's important. Here it is. Okay, that's really as granular as I'm going to get, I promise. This is my data. Okay, the first thing I tell everybody is become accountable, own everything, get on the scale, start writing things down. You don't have to write down necessarily everything you eat. You don't have to become obsessive about labels and diet. And I am not a food freak. I hate cooking. I'm not a food freak. I'm not a nutrition freak. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The first thing I did do, though, and one of the best investments I ever got, I spent, I think it was $150 back in 2010. I got a wireless body fat scale. You want to talk about it, scary. All right? So I started at 241 pounds on January 1st, 2010. This is when I was at my most miserable, clinically depressed. I was in surgical residency, IR fellowship. My life was a disaster. I was a stress sandwich, triple-decker stress sandwich. And this was my body weight, and this is where I started. There's a book written by Payman Shodron called Start Where You Are. You got to start somewhere, and you don't know where you are until you get on the darn scale, and so I did. And I said, wow. The beauty of this scale, the beauty/intimidating factor, is it wirelessly transmits your information, so it logs it for you. You set up an account, a private account. But this thing was great, because I step on the scale. I have no brand interest in anything, but it was made by Y Things, and I would step on this scale, and it would tell me my weight, my body fat percentage, which at the time was quite high, my body mass index, and then it would send it wirelessly to my account, which would push it to my iPhone, and I would get this graph every day. And you want to talk about a wake-up call, like after over a couple of weeks and stuff like that, like it started, now here, there's obviously only a couple of points here, and this is over 5 years, okay? And this is recent. So my point in showing you this graph is very simple. I own every single bit of this. Man, I am totally responsible for this complete, I was working out with the feet, I was watching what I was eating, I was training for this triathlon, for triathlons in general, and the all-time low that I reached here, it's not a coincidence that this is when I did the Hawaii Ironman, October of 2011. You can see clearly, this is recent, I'm about 10 pounds up from that. I'm okay with that. I know why. There's things that go on in my life or whatever, I have no excuse for it, but it's an explanation as to exactly why this happened. But the point is this. Progress does not occur in a straight line. As you can see, there are fluctuations. The idea of the body fat scale, again, is not to have you obsess on your daily body weight, but it's just to hold you accountable over time. And so you get on it, it logs it for you. You have an idea what direction you're going on, the more data points you can get. All right? Now, I spoke a little bit about nutrition. We talked about the math of nutrition. I want to make sure I have enough time to get to everything. I don't want to tell you guys how to eat. You're all intelligent people. We all make decisions every day. We know what's good and bad. We know the extremes of what's good and bad. I would yo-yo back and forth. I used to be in anything called it McDonald's mode or marathon mode. I mean, I was kind of an all or nothing guy, and that certainly is not the healthiest way to be. I'm not perfect, and it was, like I said, I'm not a food fanatic. I generally eat what I want within a few guidelines, and I try and keep it simple, real simple. Like I said, I don't like to cook. But I try and just sort of make a hierarchy of things in my mind, and I try to eat, first of all, I try to graze throughout the day. So rather than have 3 huge meals, I do try and eat, I mean, it's stuff that you've heard all your whole life, kind of eat multiple smaller meals. I try and eat more kind of live or healthier foods. I'll snack on almonds or yogurt. I actually like dairy, so it's not like I'm a fat freak and I don't eat cheese. I love cheese. I'll eat yogurt and milk and cheese and so forth. I will eat a lot of vegetables, nuts, lean meats, so kind of real food. And like as the old saying goes, if it comes from a plant, it's probably healthy, and if it was made in a plant, it's probably not. That's kind of a good sort of adage to think about when it comes to your food choices. I'm putting this up here again. I have no brand interest in anything, but this happens to be actually one of the best. This was 89 bucks, and this thing actually changed my entire, not just my life. It changed the way I train and eat and so forth. What this is it's an actual, like, it's a pulverizer. It's not just a juicer. Right? There are juicers out there that just kind of squeeze the juice from things. This actually takes whatever you put in it. It's like that Bass-O-Matic from Dan Aykroyd from Saturday Night Live, if you remember. This takes whatever you put in it and makes it into, it's pretty disgusting what it looks like. It basically looks like bile. Truly, it's not an appetizing way of eating food. So if for some people, they're just like, no, I'd rather eat 4 salads than eat 1 smoothie. But I actually kind of got into it. I really liked it. It's got a lot of benefits. The thing pays for itself after the first week, because who here buys produce in the grocery store with all the intentions in the world of eating healthy for the week, and then it all goes bad? It just becomes rotten or stale or whatever. You can take your rotten, stale vegetables, throw them in here, and come out with the best tasting smoothie ever. And if not, you throw it in the freezer and you do it again. You have them stuff. So I use this. I try to use it every day. I'm not perfect, but I do use it a lot. I'll drink, this is the small cup. They actually make a larger cup that comes with it that goes up to like there, and I'll drink 1 of those whole ones a day. Now, I'm not standing in front of you hawking meal replacements. This is not a, what do you call them? Shakeology. This is not that thinking. This is a way for someone like me to get healthy fruits and vegetables very easily. There's another benefit of it, which I won't go into, but as far as pulverizing things into such a liquid form where all the nutrients and the antioxidants and all the benefits are much more easily digested and easily absorbed by your GI tract. If I told you what I put in what, I'll tell you. So I have a tall one of these. I put about 10 things. I'll literally just walk around the kitchen. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a banana, put a banana in. I take a thing of light yogurt, I put it in. If I have any kind of protein powder, I'll put it in. If I have nuts, I'll put them in. Almonds, pecans, walnuts. Grapes or strawberries. The banana is key because the banana makes it palatable. Any kind of berries I'll put in there. I try not to put too much fruit in because the fruit gives you this crazy high glycemic index. It's basically all fruit sugar, which, from someone with diabetes in the family and stuff, that can become an issue over time. So I try and instead load it with more vegetables. So I put spinach in. I load it with spinach. Carrots, celery. Believe it or not, it all kind of tastes the same after you mix it all together. And I'll even put a scoop of peanut butter maybe in it, whatever. You can, honestly, you can talk about that all day. There's so much you can do with it, but it actually changed the way I eat and the way I get my nutrients. So I do highly recommend this. And again, like I said, it'll pay for itself very quickly. All right, we're gonna get to some fun stuff now. This is race stuff, okay? So multi-billion-dollar fitness food industry, right? No one in here has not heard of Gatorade, which came out in the 60s. There's a reason why they have sports drinks and sports nutrition and gels and chomps and goos and powders and infinite and custom nutrition. There's a reason for that. I like to learn things the hard way, and so I often question things and try them out myself. I did the New York City Marathon in the past, and I tried to do it without any sports drinks, just water. Because at the time I was questioning my belief in sports drinks. That was a bad idea. I learned all about pseudo-hyponatremia and lots of fun things that happen to your electrolytes when you only drink water. So there's a reason why you need your electrolytes, your salt, your potassium when you're working out, when you're sweating. Now, I'm going to just talk about this real briefly here, because we're going to talk about triathlons in a minute. The length of your triathlon directly indicates how obsessive compulsive you need to be about your nutrition, because a short triathlon that's over an hour, where you swim, bike, and run, and you're already in the post-race beer garden in an hour, your margin for error for something like that is huge. If you happen to be off a little bit on your electrolytes for the hour, if you didn't take in enough calories as you should, maybe if you didn't carb load, some people don't believe that, some people do, I do, for an hour race. When you multiply that by 17 hours, which is what the Hawaii Ironman gives you to finish, I'll talk about that in a little bit, suddenly small mistakes that you make with your nutrition each hour, like for example, a big guy like me sweats an awful lot in 90-degree heat and 90% humidity on the big island of Hawaii. And so if I found out, luckily ahead of time, that if I'm not using salt capsules to replenish every half hour to an hour, I'm going down after about 6 hours. So small mistakes that are easily forgivable during short fitness events become colossal screw-ups that can destroy a race day on an all-day race. So they say nutrition is the fourth sport of triathlon. I'm going to just kind of present some ideas to you and concepts that are applicable throughout whatever exercise you do. The first and most important thing, let me just make sure I'm sticking to my word here. The thing, I've done a lot of screwy things. I told you I drank water only for a race. During my second half Ironman that I ever did, the night before I went to Chili's and had like double cheeseburger and fries. And then, I don't know why, but the next morning during the race, I came out of the water and decided to eat some Nutri-Grain bars. So, I mean, like things that at the time seemed like they were okay, there was nothing wrong with that, were just the most stupidest things I ever did when it came to nutrition and exercise. Here's the reason why. It comes down to a simple concept, and this is important. All of your organs need blood flow to work. You need oxygen. When you are exercising, your blood is shunted to your peripheral, skeletal extremities, your muscles to work. Running, playing baseball, whatever you're doing, your peripheral skeletal muscles get the majority of the blood flow. The blood is actually shunted away from your gut and from your unimportant organs at the time. This can come back to haunt you later if you don't hydrate, because you've got blood shunted away from your kidneys. The issue being the blood gets shunted away from your stomach. What's the stomach's job? Digest foods that are not easily digestible. So the bacon cheeseburger and fries, or the multigrain cereal bars that I pounded after coming out of the water before I got on the bike, not smart. You've got bulk, you've got fiber, and you've got lack of blood flow to the stomach. Bad combination when you are trying to exercise. So they're onto something here. There's a reason for this. My point is this: liquid nutrition, or semi-solid. Liquid as in Gatorade, endurance drinks that you can mix with powder. You get your calories and your hydration at the same time, or you can keep them separate. It depends how compulsive you are during an activity. I generally will not go out for a run without carrying a water bottle. I've bonked too many times. I don't depend on Starbucks or water fountains or anything. I usually do not leave the house without a water bottle. That's usually either water or water and sports drink, and I have a pouch that I have one of these gels in, because I've just been burned too many times. I'll get shocky, I'll get hypoglycemic, and next thing I know, I'll be, only a mile and a half away from home, but I'm destroyed.
But these are mega calories.
They are. And so for weight loss, so we're shifting gears here a little bit, we're talking more about performance nutrition. We're not talking about weight loss per se. This is for the sake of how to maintain during an extreme activity such as a triathlon, which I'm going to talk about shortly. Because on the day of the triathlon, we're not worried about losing weight. The day of the triathlon, the day before the triathlon, the week before the triathlon, we're not worried about losing weight, we're worried about storing those calories in the form of glycogen that we can use later, because you are going to need it. During any type of fitness activity, any type, not just triathlon, if you wait until you're thirsty to drink, or if you wait until you're hungry to eat, you are behind the 8 ball already. It's too late. So, what smart triathletes and smart athletes generally do is they stay ahead of the curve a little bit. They don't pound a whole box of these. We figure out, we do the math, and we figure out the calories we need to be exercising at the rate we want to be. First of all, and most importantly, it's got to be palatable. So if you don't like a flavor, don't eat it. If for Ironmans and stuff like that, it gets to the point where we find out ahead of time what they're serving on the course, and we train with that fluid, or we bring our own. It gets to the point where on a race day you try nothing new, nothing. If you've trained with orange Gatorade and they have lemon Gatorade, no. You stick with what you know, what you've tried and true, what works for you. That being said, what works for me may not work for. I have seen people put peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in their special needs bags during the Ironman to get later. It's like a special treat bag you can get at mile like 90. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That would kill, that would destroy my GI tract during a race. But they've trained with it. That's what they do. I respect that. It works for them. No problem. Overall, in general, this the liquid nutrition. These are gels, kind of goos, and like you said, they do have calories, and it's all written on there. These are chomps. They're like gummy bears. I love these things. There's different brands. I love these things. They're easy. You just suck on them even. They taste like gummy bears. They have a bunch of different flavors, and it helps you not get shocky while you're training. So again, the nutrition is truly the fourth sport of triathlon or anything. Just make sure I didn't miss any points here. I'm going to move on. And I will certainly take questions at the end too, like I said. We talked about all that. All right. There we go. Okay. I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about resistance exercise, strength training, working out. I'm a big fan of keeping things simple, but I am going to stand here before you. I'm going to tell you this. Keeping all that math in mind, and especially that BMR, which is the amount of calories you're burning just waking up in the morning. A lean body mass with higher muscular content burns more calories at rest than an unlean one, okay? So resistance training, no matter what you do, even if you decide you don't want to do any aerobic training, resistance training, just for the sake of well-being and feeling good, is so important, it's crucial. How do you start? I've been, 20 years ago in college, I joined a gym. It was the thing to do, everyone's lifting. Everybody has their own personal opinion about what they like and don't like. I'm going to just kind of tell you what works for me. I actually don't like gyms at all. I don't like going to gyms. And the time it takes me to pack for the gym, get to the gym, get the stuff in the locker, just kind of messing around, my workout's pretty much already done. My main set is pretty much already done at home. So I am very much into self-sufficient, keeping things very, very simple. I'm going to show you that shortly as to what I do, because if it's not simple, you're not going to stick to it. It's no secret here that everybody, what's the busiest day at the gym in the year? January 2nd, right? January 1st, January 2nd, and then you come back in March, and where is everybody? I mean, they depend on you not showing up. They overbook their gyms specifically because they know you're not going to come. So it is a big racket. That being said, it's nice to have somewhere to go where there's a lot of fitness equipment already there and you don't have to buy anything. It wasn't worth it to me. I also got really tired of watching people throw around a lot of weights and honestly be doing exercises wrong and making a lot of noise doing it. I just found it very annoying. I'd see a bunch of people grunting and, and I just, to me, it took away from my workouts. So I tend to keep things simple. It's also why I kind of gravitated towards triathlon, which is a solo sport. It's not a team sport. You do it yourself. Nobody does it for you. Swim, bike, and run. Who can do that? All of us. Now, I didn't know how to swim. I taught myself to swim for the Hawaii Ironman. That's a topic for one of my other talks. But you ask kids, I gave a talk to my kids' kindergarten class once, and I walked in and I said, who here can swim? They're all like, me. Who here can bike? Me. Who here knows how to run? I do. I bet you I'm faster than you, And kids get so excited about this stuff because they're good at it. It's simple and it's fun. We as adults, we kind of back off of it. We make things much more complicated than it really has to be. It's swim, bike, run. We've all been doing that since we were kids, basically. Resistance training. I have this here called N+1 for a reason. The number one reason people stop resistance training is because they don't start it correctly. People join a gym, they go, they take their tour from some guy, and next thing they know, they're on machines, lifting free weights or throwing things around or whatever. And what inevitably happens is called, it has a name and a fancy name, it's called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. It's pain that you feel after a hard workout. But the pain is not from muscle fibers, the pain is from edema. It's interstitial edema from fluid shifts in between your muscle cells because your body's like, what the heck are you doing? And we're not used to this. That always happens after people start working out. And so you've seen people for 2 days, 3 days, a week after they first start working out, they're walking around like this and they just can't move. That's prime quitting time. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that extreme. You can still make progress. And I call it N+1. It's nothing I patented or anything. It's very, very simple. It's really, really simple. And it's so simple that I started doing this again. You saw my weight chart. I kind of fell off a little bit this year, and I just slowly started getting back on my own plan because I have a race coming up. I'm going to be doing the Tough Man Half Ironman, which is right here. It's in Westchester County. It's in Croton. Myself and my fiance are going to be doing that in the fall. And so I'm 6 months out now. I'm starting to think towards that way. And I wanted to get my resistance training back up. N+1. Again, remembering what we said before, start where you are, right? So where we are is I don't do anything, okay? So if we don't do anything, everybody in this room, pretty much without exception, I guarantee it, can do one push-up, can do one crunch, bless you, can do one crunch, and I do crunches very simply. I mean very simply. I'll do it in the bedroom, I'll do it wherever there's a chair. I will just get on my back, I put my legs up, because by putting your legs up, it takes your hip flexors out of the equation and it isolates your abs. I put my hands behind my back like this, my elbows back, and I just crunch up like this. That's one. I let myself down slow. If you let yourself fly down like this, you're losing half the exercise, you're letting gravity work for you. I do one crunch like this, okay? I only do one other exercise for upper body, only one. Curls. Anything around your house. We happen to have old dumbbells, and actually we have one 20-pound kettlebell and two 10-pound dumbbells. And so I put the 20-pound kettlebell in one hand, and I grab the two dumbbells with my other hand to balance it out, so I have about 20 pounds in each of my hands. You literally can use a chair. Look around your house, be creative. But here's, do a bicep curl, okay? Everybody here can start with one. Every single person can start with one. Today. The next time you come back, which may be tomorrow, it might not be. We all have life interfere with our plans. You can come back 2 days later, 3 days later, a week later, miss it. You can do two. You can't fail doing this. You cannot fail. Your body does not notice. There's no extreme change between 1 and 2. Between 2 and 3, between 19 and 20. I think I'm up to 64 for yesterday. Actually, I have it written down, because I write things down in my log. I have a log. I got this. It's about $10 on Amazon. It says the triathlete's training diary, but you don't have to be a triathlete. It's just a log. It's just a calendar. And I just write down, literally, here, like a Monday, my magic number was 60. I call it the magic number. My N+1 was 60. So I did 3 sets of 20. Those 3 exercises, nothing fancy. I did 20 crunches, 20 push-ups, 20 curls. Come back an hour later. I do consulting work from home, so in between cases, I'll come back and do it again. I'll get my 60 done during the day sometime. The point is you get it done. You get it done in an easy way that doesn't hurt your body, doesn't stress you out. And believe me, over time, you may have started with 1 or 2 or 20, maybe you can start at 20. Some of you, it depends. But think about it. It's beginning of March. Think about where this will take you by June, July, and August when everybody here's at the beach. It's simple. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to cost money. That's the other thing. Now let's talk about triathlons, because I think I'm running out of time here. So, way to start. As far as running is concerned, running is kind of hard to start cold turkey, just like lifting is. But everybody can walk. And so you start walking, and as you slowly get able to tolerate that, you incorporate walk-run into it, as in you walk for 5 minutes, maybe you run for a minute. You run until you get tired. You run until you can. You run from one pole to the other, because believe me, that mentality is what gets you through an Ironman race. This is me walking and running through Ironman Mont Tremblant in Canada in 2013. And I am sucking down nutrition faster than they can hand it to me. And it's okay. I mean, this is the end of an Ironman. This was 26.2 mile marathon within an Ironman. Yes, I was walking and running, mostly walking at that point. Doesn't matter. You're moving forward. Your training can be the exact same way. The exact same way. Everybody here can start, go for a walk. Time yourself. I'm going to go for a walk around the block. This is now my course. This is now my home training course. I'm going to time myself. Today it took 15 minutes to do. Tomorrow I'm going to do it in 14 minutes. Because I may run from this mailbox to that pole. And then the day after that, and so forth. You can easily progress things for yourself. I want to move a little bit. As far as mileage is concerned though, as far as running and walking, you don't want to increase your mileage generally more than 10% a week. That's another reason for failure is people try and go up too fast, too soon, and you're prone to injuries then. Biking. The biking part of a triathlon can be a $10,000 investment if you insist on it. The first triathlons I did on a Franken bike. It was, first of all, I trained on a folding bike, which I used to ride to work. Literally, it's like a BMX style bike that folds. I have a picture somewhere, I think in a different lecture. But I started on this ridiculous road bike that was converted to a triathlon bike. You don't need here's my point. You don't need an expensive bike. You don't need expensive equipment. You need a bike. Cycling is great, even if you're not interested in triathlons at all. Here's why cycling is great. You really can't hurt yourself if you ride on a trainer inside, if you use an exercise bike in the gym, or if you put your bike on a spinner in your basement, or your living room, or your bedroom. You can't really hurt yourself. You can't really overexert yourself. So unlike what we talked about with running and lifting, where you can really mess yourself up, biking, you're really not going to do that with. It's safe to kind of experiment and explore. I do 99% of my bike training inside on a bike trainer, which is just a spinner. It's a device that you connect your rear wheel in by the axle. It holds it. You can do it while you're watching TV. There's no traffic lights. There's no ridiculous people texting and driving, running you off the road. I've had 2 teammates with traumatic brain injuries and 1 who's a paraplegic in the last 2 years because of road accidents with them cycling on the road. I don't like cycling on the road, so for me it was a no-brainer. You actually get more fitness and more time. You get your workout. You know, when you're outside, you've got to make sure you pack all your gear and make sure you got air in your tire and everything. And, you know, as opposed to if you do it in your basement, you got everything you need right there. You really do. You need to stop and go to the bathroom, you just pop up, go to the bathroom, and come back on. You forgot a gel, go downstairs and get one, come back on. But cycling is an excellent way to gain the fitness as well. And like I said, having an expensive bike is not at all requisite to participating in a triathlon. End of story. It's just really not. There are tons of online resources. This is me 2.5 miles out from finishing my first Ironman ever. This was Ironman Lake Placid in 2011. The team that I use an online team called Endurance Nation. .us I think is their website. I don't use them anymore. I do my own thing, but they're an excellent resource. They have forums for newbies. People ask the most ridiculous questions. When I started, I was asking questions like, "How do you pee?" And the answer is wherever and whenever you want. It's really up to you if you decide you want to pee in your wetsuit in the ocean and on the bike while you're riding. Simple things like that. But and they also answer nutrition, training, and gear questions and stuff. So there's tons of online resources for triathlons if anybody is interested in doing that. Okay, so I only have a few minutes left. So distances, okay? So this is me at the end of the Hawaii Ironman, which is the Ironman. When the word Ironman is a brand name and it's also a distance, okay? So the distances are very simple. There's 4 levels of triathlon. There's a sprint, which is the shortest. There's an Olympic, which is the next longest. There's a half Ironman or a half, and then there's a full or an Ironman. Okay, sprints are usually anywhere from swim. We're going to do swim, bike, run. Swims are usually for sprints. Usually swim a 1/4 mile. Maybe bike, maybe around 16 miles on a closed course, usually in a park, and run a 5K, which is about 3 miles. Okay? Thank you. Olympics, usually double that, and the swim is sometimes a little doubled, so it's anywhere from 0.5 to 1 mile swim, usually in a lake. The bike is usually maybe around 25 miles, and the run is usually a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. Okay? A half Ironman and a full Ironman are always the same distance. All right? A half is always swim 1.2 miles, bike 56 miles, run a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles, and a full is always, no matter what brand it is, swim 2.4 miles, bike 112 miles, run a full marathon, which is 26.2 miles, in 17 hours. The race starts at 7 in the morning and ends at midnight. If you don't cross at midnight, you are not an Ironman. Technically, you don't get an award. You don't get a medal. That being said, you're still an Ironman. But I have finished every race that I've started in the amount of the time requisite. This is me, 14 hours, 21 minutes, 37 seconds was when I crossed. talk about that. Gear. So we could spend literally hours talking about this. Real brief. Swimming is easy. You really only need a few things. Wetsuit. It keeps you up so you can concentrate on your energy going forward. I like to call it an anti-drowning suit because I suck at swimming. So I actually taught myself to swim wearing a wetsuit. So to me it was a life preserver. It's buoyant. Goggles, you need goggles. They give you a swim cap, you don't have to worry about it. I wear a pair of triathlon shorts under that, and like I said, yes, you can pee in the water if you like. Oh, sorry, let me go back to that. So swimming is easy. For the bike, we talked about the bike. Go back to the bike picture here. You need any bike to start, okay? The difference, and just real quick, you know, there's forks in the road when you start at entry-level bikes and then go up to high-level triathlon bikes. Here's the main question. What are you going to use it for, and how are you comfortable? The entire difference, I could boil it down to this: comfort versus aero, or efficiency. That's really what it all comes down to. So, you know, you can have a beach cruiser, and I have a bike that I ride, I love it, I look like Pee Wee Herman on it. I don't care, I ride it, it's upright, it is not efficient, it weighs 40 pounds, and the wind hits me right in the chest whenever I'm riding. That's obviously not something one would race in, but it's still a way to get exercise. Moving forward, you reach a fork in the road where you go road bike versus triathlon bike. What's the difference? In a nutshell, again, the difference is comfort versus efficiency, okay? Triathlon bikes like this one, they're designed for you to spend most of your time in the aero position, forward like this, with your weight on your elbows, your head down out of the wind, your elbows tucked. You know, an aero helmet helps to keep the wind moving over you, because over 56 miles, which is what this race was, right up the river, or a full Ironman, that wind resistance is what makes or breaks you. However, if you're going to spend most of your time riding in groups, and or if you have back problems and you can't really maintain that, or neck problems, you can't maintain that position, a road bike is fine. People use road bikes for triathlons all the time. The difference is the geometry. They're a little more upright, and they don't generally have aero bars. You can get clip-on aero bars for them. What I will suggest is no matter what bike you get or use, the most important thing in any triathlon, whether it's a sprint or a full, is to incorporate and implement a way to attach your feet to the pedals. So you can do this in two ways generally. One is the old school, which you saw in the 70s, actual toe straps, which are their actual pedals with actual straps. And you can use your running sneakers in them. You just pop your feet in them, tighten the straps. That gives you an entire degree of freedom. It's much more efficient because you are now pedaling on the upstroke with the opposite leg. Think about it. If your feet are not on the pedals, when I go to move this other leg, my foot just comes off the pedal. So all the forward motion energy is generated from the pedaling foot. When your feet are attached to the pedals, no matter what kind of bike you have, you generate forward motion, forward energy, power, watts. You generate all that even on the upstroke. Very, very, very important over a 6-hour day or a 17-hour day. So the most important thing I can tell you is whatever bike you get, find a way to, the other way, the upscale and more expensive way, is to get dedicated biking shoes, which have cleats on them that clip into the pedals. I don't ski, but apparently ski bindings work the same way. That's something that is, that's definitely an important take-home message. Let's do this. Do that. Okay, so I have one slide left. So this is me at the $10 million pier in Kona. They call it the $10 million pier because this is the transition area. So when you come out of the swim, whatever your distance is, you have a transition from swim to bike. That's called T1, transition 1, T1. This is the T1 area for the Hawaii Ironman. Each of these bikes has an average value of around $5,000 to $6,000, and there's about 2,000 of them there. So they call it the $10 million pier. The reason I put this picture here is to remind me to talk to you about something. This is very important, pacing. I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to wrap up. There's two people coasting on bikes downhill. Okay? One of them is pedaling really fast, the other one isn't. They both look down at their speedometer. You're all used to speedometers if you drive a car. They both look at their speedometers, and their speedometers say 20 miles per hour. So they each have the same bit of data from that, right? However, the person who's pedaling looks down at his power meter, which is a little bit different than a speedometer. It's something that actually measures how much power you are putting through the cranks, your actual work that you're doing. The guy who's coasting, if he has a power meter, says 0 watts, because he's not working. He's coasting, right? The other guy who's also going 20 miles an hour, who doesn't have a power meter, has no clue what he's doing. I mean, if you're not pedaling, it's obviously going to stay 0 watts. I use this as an extreme example to point out to you the fact that successful negotiation of long races like this involve you only focusing on what you can control, which is generally your energy, your output level, your intensity level. Classic rookie mistake and even pro mistake and everywhere in between for triathlons is to go out too fast, too far, and you blow up. You crush the swim, your heart rate's already sky high, you come out, you start the bike, you crush the bike, you fly past everybody, and then the joke is, you know, that grandma and grandpa are running past you as you walk the rest of the run. You know, you're walking to the end because you didn't budget your energy right. So there are tools out there that do cost money, and they're not certainly necessary, but they do help in helping you budget your energy expenditure during a day. Power meter for the bike, but more importantly, I want to talk about something that is easily affordable for everybody, and that's a heart rate monitor or a Garmin watch. This is probably the best investment I ever made, fitness-wise. A Garmin watch, you saw me wearing it. I'm not wearing it there, but you saw me wearing it in a different picture here. I have a heart rate strap on, not in this picture, but in this picture. There's my heart rate strap on, there's my Garmin. Man, I live by that thing. It's another device that can cost a couple of $100s. It's a lot cheaper than a power meter for the bike, though. And what this does is it gives you a very important piece of information. Your heart rate, which is a good indicator of how hard you're working, just keep in mind it's delayed. Your heart rate doesn't spike until after you run up the hill. So just keep that in mind, that your heart rate has a lag response to your energy level, as opposed to, say, on the bike, the power meter tells you instantaneously, as soon as you start pedaling, how many watts you're putting out with each crank. So you know on a bike if you're going up a hill too hard, if you have a power meter. But again, that's kind of high-end stuff. The Garmin wristwatch, it's just a GPS wristwatch. The good thing about it is it's one of those things that keeps track of all your runs, and it's great for social media. Use social media. Post your runs, your walks, your bikes, share them with everybody, tag people in it, challenge them. It's great. It's fantastic. Here's the other good part about it. It gives you live information, okay? If I told you guys to run from here to CVS and back, and I gave you all a digital watch, the only thing you would know as you're running when you came back is how long it took you to do it. Let's just use round numbers. Say it took 5 minutes for you, exactly, for you to run from here to CVS to back. But let's say you went out at a 6-minute pace mile and crushed it, but then you got tired and you had to walk a little bit, and then you slowed down to a 10-minute per mile pace. You finished somewhere in between, maybe at an 8.5. All that information is lost. You don't know. All you're going to know when you get back here, if you just have a wristwatch or a timer, is I ran that distance in 5 minutes. The Garmin tells you instantly, as soon as you look down at your watch, you're running, boy, I'm feeling kind of tired. You look down, my heart rate's 173 beats per minute. That's an interesting piece of information. It also tells you on the same screen that I'm running currently at a 5-minute, 45-second pace mile. I'm sprinting. You don't know. Your rate of perceived exertion, as they say, is completely skewed during exercise. So it's good to have a piece of if there's anything you're going to spend money on other than a good pair of running shoes, a Garmin watch. And they have other brands too. And I know that there's activity trackers like Fitbit and things that track your steps and things like that. I really don't know too much about that. But a Garmin's great because it tracks mileage, it tracks speed, and it tracks pace. So at any given time, you know exactly how fast you are moving through space. You use that to train, and you actually use it to race. You use that information live. And as you get into it, if you do decide to train for longer distance triathlons, you will actually be prescribed paces. You will say, today I don't just need to go run. Today I need to run 3 times 1 mile repeats at my pace, with a zone 4 pace, which is 7 minutes, 45-second minute mile. It sounds really complicated, but it's actually the opposite. It's quite simple. I start running and I look at my watch, and when I see that I'm running at a 7.5 minute mile, I do that for however distance or time is prescribed. It's actually almost like a prescriptive form of training for these races, and it works. So I know I'm 5 minutes over, but that was actually the last thing I wanted to talk about. One caveat I have here, I think I mentioned this already, nothing new on race day. Oh, there's one other thing here I wanted to mention. For running, hats, sunglasses, things like that, running sneakers. A little helpful hint that I found, if you find running shoes that fit you and that are comfortable, and shoes you like to work out in, buy 3 pairs of them. And here's why. The shoe companies change shoes every year, even if you are a devout follower of the Nike Vomero 6. The next year they come out with the Vomero 7, which is different and fits differently. They do that intentionally. So if you find shoes that fit, There's online resources actually where you can buy shoes, try them on for free, even ship them back for free. I use roadrunnersports.com. I've been using them for over a decade. It's actually very helpful in that because it helps you get the gear you need at a good price, and it helps you make sure you always have it. So other than a good pair of running shoes, I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover for you folks. So the site for the book, I don't have an actual private website, but this is the site of the book, and it's a way to get in touch with me up here. I will be happy to answer any questions privately or afterwards. I do have 2 other talks I'm giving today if you'd like to come. And they are going to be, one is going to be my actual story of things I did, the things I overcame to get to the starting line of the Hawaii Ironman, let alone the finish. And another one of my talks is going to be how to get out of your own way. And it's going to be a lot more mental, ways to build mental strength and tips and tricks to get, to really make sure you guys get to your own personal starting lines, whatever they are. So I want to thank you for your time. Please fill out the evaluation.
I have them right here.
Thank you. And I'm very curious as to your feedback. So thank you very much for your time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I did not mean that. I'm such a deal. Yes. Absolutely. Are you talking about over? I definitely trained in faith.
Yes.